loved my daughter unconditionally, and I did not kill her.
It alleges that the defendant, Bryan Kohberger, did unlawfully enter a residence with the intent to commit the felony crime of murder.
Kara.
You.
Kara.
Stupid.
So at this time, what I am going to do is just declare a mistrial.
I want to represent myself, Your Honor.
As we make our way into the new year, we're taking a look ahead to the top trials already scheduled for 2024 and other high-profile cases that could head to trial in the next year. We begin in Idaho, where the trial of Chad Daybell will be broadcasted with restrictions. Daybell is half of the so-called Doomsday cult duo, a couple with end-of-times beliefs that were accused of murdering multiple people. Back in 2019, the world learned the names Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow Daybell when Lori's children, 16-year-old Tylee Ryan and 7-year-old JJ Vallow, were reported missing. Extended family said the kids hadn't been seen in months. But instead of turning the kids over to the authorities, Chad and Lori left Idaho for Hawaii, where they got married just 2 weeks after the death of Chad's wife, Tammy Daybell. Lori was arrested first on charges of desertion of her children. Months later, Chad was also arrested when investigators uncovered the remains of Tylee and JJ on his property. A jailhouse recording captured the moments before Chad's arrest when he told Lori investigators were at his home.
Hi, Dad.
Hello?
Are you okay?
So there's the property.
The house right now?
Yeah.
Both Lori and Chad were charged in the murders of JJ, Tylee, and Tammy. At first, they were set to be tried together, but their trials were later severed. Lori's case went to trial in April of 2023 and ended with a sweep of guilty verdicts.
Is Lori Noreen Vallow not guilty or guilty of first-degree murder of Tylee Ryan? Answer, guilty. Is Lori Noreen Vallow not guilty or guilty of first-degree murder of Joshua Jackson Vallow? Answer, guilty. Is Lori Noreen Vallow not guilty or guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder of Tammy Daybell? Answer, guilty.
Next, it's Chad's turn to be tried for the murders. Prosecutors say the motive stems from his extremist religious beliefs that some people were possessed by zombies and thus needed to be taken out or killed. The pair even enlisted friends to help with their scheme. When police were initially searching for Tylee and JJ, Lori and Chad told investigators JJ was with their family friend, Melanie Gibb. In a recorded phone conversation, Gibb lays it all out.
You're being controversial to me, or if you're recording this conversation for the police or whatever, I don't know what your intention is on this phone call. But I love with all my heart, and I have forever, and I will always love you.
I appreciate those words, but if you really love me, you wouldn't have told the police that I had JJ with me. That's not what a friend does. I mean, that just makes me look weird, and it's not safe for me. That doesn't look good. I mean, you had to think of my welfare if you love me.
I do, and I did exactly what I felt the Lord was instructing me to do. And I appreciate you, and I love you. And I would never do anything to harm you. And you can have all of this confirmed to you by the Lord.
I have. And my conscience is clear. I feel very understanding what's really going on, Lori. And I believe that you have been very deceived by Satan. I believe that he has tricked you. And I don't believe that what you're doing is correct. I just don't. I mean, Tammy dies, and then your husband died, and then he's missing. It just doesn't sound like God's plan to me.
During Lori's trial, Gibb testified about the couple's zombie theory, explaining they also believed Lori's former husband, Charles Vallow, to be possessed by something dark.
The physical body is still alive.
Correct.
And another entity or spirit is in that body.
Correct.
Do you recall what she told you regarding if the other spirit, the evil spirit, the entity is cast out of the body, what would happen to the body?
So the first time they thought they were able to cast out this first spirit that took over Charles's body, whose name was Ned. When that spirit left, so they weren't sure how it worked. And so after they believed Ned left, then they would see that Charles was still alive. And then they would come up with another idea that maybe another spirit, and then they come up with another name that spirit was the one that took over his body.
Charles Vallow was shot and killed by Lori's late brother, Alex Cox, back in 2019. Following her trial in Idaho, Lori was extradited to Arizona to face charges in connection with Charles's death. Chad remains in Idaho awaiting his coming trial, and right now it's scheduled to begin in April 2024.
Daughter Harmony, and I look forward to my upcoming trial to refute those offensive claims.
Another father charged in the murder of a child is New Hampshire's Adam Montgomery, who's accused of killing his daughter, 5-year-old Harmony. Harmony hasn't been seen since 2019 when her father, Adam, gained custody. But her disappearance wasn't reported until years later in 2021. That's when the New Hampshire Division of Children, Youth, and Families drew attention to the case. In 2021, Montgomery's uncle reported to police that he hit Harmony, who was last seen with a black eye before she went missing. Adam Montgomery was later charged with assault and endangering the welfare of a child. Harmony's stepmom, Kayla Montgomery, was charged with theft by deception for allegedly collecting food stamps for Harmony, even though she was no longer living with the couple.
When you lived at the 77 Guilford Street address, who did you live with there?
It was myself, Adam, Seamus, Declan, and Harmony.
For the first few years of her life, Harmony was in custody of the Massachusetts Department of Children and Families. But when her father, a New Hampshire resident, gained custody in 2019, the system stopped following her case. Eventually, the investigation switched from a missing persons case to what police believe was a homicide. Authorities now say Adam Montgomery killed Harmony in December 2019 by hitting her in the head. In October 2022, he was charged with second-degree murder in her death. In June 2023, Montgomery was tried and convicted on multiple weapons and firearms charges. He was sentenced to up to 65 years in prison. He's set to go to trial again in February 2024, this time for Harmony's murder.
After further discussions, reviewing the evidence and speaking freely amongst the jurors, we are still unable to reach a unanimous decision.
2024 won't be the first trial for Montgomery or Jamel Demons, the rapper known as YNW Melly. He's set to be tried again after his first trial ended in a mistrial in 2023.
So at this time, what I am going to do is just declare mistrial because mistrial.
Melly is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, as is Cortland Henry, who's otherwise known as YNW Bortland. The state says those 2 killed 2 others, 19-year-old Christopher Thomas, also known as YNW Juvie, and 21-year-old Anthony Williams, who went by YNW Sack Chaser. Prosecutors say the victims were also part of the YNW collective. They also say surveillance video puts both victims, Bortland and Melly, together the night of the murders. They allege Melly committed the crime as part of gang violence.
And you're going to see pictures, you're going to see videos of the defendant doing something called stacking, which is a way to show a gang affiliation and to broadcast it to the world. And this is not just in music videos. This is not just in lyrics, because we're not going to get into that. That's artistic expression. That's not why we are here today. We are here because the defendant murdered 2 individuals.
But it's a different story from Melly's defense team, who say the rapper has no motive to murder some of his best friends.
But you know what does require a motive? A young man to wake up one day and decide that he's going to kill 2 of his best friends. Best friends that he grew up with, best friends that he hangs out with, best friends who he lives with, best friends whose careers he was trying to launch alongside his own. They have no reason for why he would do this, because there is no reason.
The case's judge ruled a mistrial when jurors were deadlocked after 14 hours of deliberation. Right now, jury selection is underway for that retrial, which is expected to begin next year.
Sarah.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
Thank you.
Also in Florida, the case of accused killer Sarah Boone, who prosecutors say murdered her boyfriend by leaving him in a suitcase to die back in 2020. Chilling cell phone video taken from Boone's perspective shows the suitcase, as audio from 44-year-old Jorge Torres Jr. can be heard begging to be released.
Sarah.
You.
Sarah.
Stupid.
Sarah.
That's my name. Don't wear it out.
Initially, Boone told investigators she and Torres had been drinking and playing a game of hide and seek. After that, Boone says she went to sleep and woke up hours later when her phone rang. That's when she says she found Torres unresponsive. Officials say Torres was zipped inside the suitcase for hours. Boone's case has faced several delays and at least 4 attorneys since her arrest. Multiple public defenders withdrew from her case, and Boone made her anger known by writing strongly worded letters to the court. Boone is due back in court on January 16th for a pre-trial hearing with her newest attorney. At that point, a 2023 court date will likely be set. Another female headed to court in 2024 is actress Leah Remini. The former Scientologist is now suing the church for years of threats and psychological torture. In August of 2023, the King of Queens star filed suit against the church and its leader. According to Remini, she's faced years of defamation, surveillance, harassment, and intimidation, all of which she says impacted her career. The civil trial heads to court in 2024, and still no word yet whether cameras will be allowed inside. In Nevada, one-time county administrator Robert Tellez is charged in the murder of Las Vegas reporter Jeff German. Tellez has already elected to represent himself in the coming trial.
Okay, because I don't think anyone ever does a good job representing themselves. It's always better to have someone that's objective and unbiased that can give you the appropriate advice. I mean, and I know you're a lawyer and you think you can represent yourself, but I don't think it's ever a good idea to represent yourself. I don't think it's a good idea to represent yourself in a misdemeanor case, let alone one where the consequences could be as severe as restricting your liberty for the rest of your life.
Prior to his death, German published a series of investigative reports on Tellez, accusing him of abusing staff in his public administrator office by bullying and engaging in inappropriate sexual relationships. After German's articles were published, Tellez lost his bid for re-election. When German was found stabbed to death outside of his home, investigators released surveillance photos of a suspect and a vehicle of interest. Days later, Tellez was arrested in connection to German's murder. In a court appearance this year, things got tense between Tellez and the case's judge.
You just indicate you want to represent yourself for a couple months. I mean, I am not playing games with you. This is very serious. You are charged with first-degree murder. I mean, you're facing life without the possibility of parole. I would think that you would take it a little more serious. It is not a game. I will not allow you to treat it as a game. And you're a lawyer, and you know, oh, I want to represent myself for 2 months until I can get a new lawyer. You want a new lawyer? That's fine. I'll give you time to hire a new lawyer.
Yeah, unfortunately, I cannot, I would prefer to represent myself.
Tellez's jury trial is now scheduled for March of 2024. But Tellez is not the only defendant who plans to represent himself in a criminal trial next year. Robert Crimo III is accused of carrying out the deadly 4th of July parade shooting in Highland Park, Illinois, back in 2022. Investigators say he opened fire on the crowd from a rooftop, killing 7 people and injuring dozens more. Crimo has pleaded not guilty to 117 charges, and in a hearing just this month, indicated he plans to represent himself. The trial, that's expected to last up to 6 weeks, will begin in February. Crimo's father, Robert Crimo Jr., pleaded guilty to 7 counts of misdemeanor reckless conduct. Prosecutors say he acted recklessly when signing off on his son's application for an Illinois firearm owner's ID card. He was released from jail earlier this month. Similarly, Jennifer and James Crumbley, the parents of the Oxford High School shooter, will both be tried in 2024 for 4 counts each of involuntary manslaughter. This month, their son was sentenced to life in prison without parole for the deadly shooting that took place on November 30th, 2021. 4 people were killed and 7 others injured. While their son acted as the gunman, prosecutors say Jennifer and James Crumbley are responsible for not stepping in, ignoring warning signs coming from their son, and for purchasing the murder weapon on their son's behalf.
What was your thought immediately?
My thought was that it was Ethan.
At a preliminary hearing for the Crumbley parents, Jennifer's supervisor made startling testimony, saying in the moments after news broke of the shooting, she was more concerned with the status of her job.
OMG, Andy, he's going to kill himself. He must be the shooter.
And then the next test?
I need a lawyer at substation with police.
And then what else?
Ethan did it.
And what does the text say?
I need my job. Please don't judge me for what my son did.
And what did you think about that?
I was surprised by that text.
Why is that?
I was surprised she was worried about her job at the time. I thought she'd be more worried about what was going on.
The pair will be tried separately starting early next year. As for accused Delphi murderer Richard Allen, a trial date is currently set for fall of next year. Prosecutors say that video is of Richard Allen, and it was taken by Abby Williams and Liberty German right before they were killed. The case shocked the nation back in 2017 when the teenagers went missing in the small Indiana town of Delphi. The following day, their bodies were found near a trail. For years, no arrests were made in the case until 2022, when Richard Allen was taken into custody and charged with the murders. A probable cause affidavit revealed Allen admitted to police he was at the crime scene the day of the murders, and a bullet found just feet from the girls' bodies is a match to a weapon registered to Allen. Just this month, the Indiana Supreme Court ruled against Allen, whose team had hoped to make some court documents public and to seal some others. The court still needs to determine whether the current judge, Francis Gull, will remain on the case. As of now, Allen's trial is slated to begin in October 2024. And as for one of the most high-profile cases we cover, that of accused murderer Bryan Kohberger, it's still unclear whether a trial date will be set in 2024.
These murders have shaken our community, and no arrest will ever bring back these young students. However, we do believe justice will be found through the criminal process.
Kohberger was arrested in the final days of 2022, weeks after 4 University of Idaho students were found brutally stabbed to death. Investigators used DNA collected from a knife sheath left behind at the crime scene to connect Kohberger to the case. He was arrested in Pennsylvania and extradited to Idaho early this year, where he's been held at the Latah County Jail ever since. Kohberger's case has seen its ups and downs, including the scheduling and cancellation of what was expected to be a lengthy preliminary hearing this summer, as well as a gag order surrounding the case. As of now, there's no official trial date set for the case, but it's possible we could see Kohberger's jury trial sometime in 2024. That was just a small taste of the many captivating trials we're expecting to cover here on Law&Crime Network when the calendar flips the page to 2024. For updates on all these cases and more, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Reporting for Law&Crime Network, I'm Sierra Gillespie.